Previously on JB Adventures. You know what? I like the way that sounds. I feel as though I can be my own narrator. You know, let's try some voices. Previously on Dragon Ball Z. Or let's do a different one. Welcome back to the Kardashians. Now, alright, that song a bit wrong, but I do feel as though I could be my own narrator, not a paid narrator to just give narration within movies or TV series. Now, I think it could work. Alright, let's try this one. Welcome back. Anyways, welcome back to another episode of JB Adventures or JB _Adventures. Just to spell it out. You can obviously find my channel at LifeInBeatz as well, and that Beats is spelled Beatz. Everything together. But anyways, on the last episode, you guys saw how I was given a birthday surprise by my partner. The preparation for an international trip to Bali, Indonesia, and then what that was like, preparing from the home, going to the airport, being in the lounge at the airport, boarding the plane, and then traveling maybe 5-6 hours until we were into the atmosphere of Bali, Indonesia, and that landing as well, which was a bit rough. So on this episode, I'm gonna just discuss, landing at the airport, what it was like, being in the airport until we saw our driver, and the things that were needed to be done before we actually left Denpasar, which is the capital of Bali, towards Ubud, where our first stop for our journey was. So just bear with me. Let me just get my iPad so that I can then show you guys what that trip looks like. Do you recall we were approaching Bali? In fact, no, we were actually landing in Bali, and you guys can obviously remember how that plane landing was, when it just went like down. Now, obviously, a lot of people were a bit, I think, caught by it, even us as well. But I think once, not everything was good, obviously the planes were on the runway and we were taxiing towards, our dock. I think everyone was actually pretty good about that. They felt safe, and it was now time to start the trip. The airport that we arrived at in Bali is called the Gusti Ngurah Rai International Airport, otherwise known as the Denpasar International Airport. And if you guys don't know what Denpasar is actually the capital of Bali. If I'm pronouncing Denpasar wrong, for those watching this video, please correct me, and I mean that with all respect. So, we got our stuff. We decided, okay, let's just let everyone just leave the airplane. We're not in a rush. We take our time. Let me just try and soak in the fact that we are actually in Bali, Indonesia. So we got our stuff. We obviously were walking through the airport as we were going towards the immigration section of things. Me and my partner just decided, rather than film, what the airport looks like, let us just make sure that we respect the rules and regulations within the airport so that we don't get ourselves in trouble. The policies of any airport is that if you break any of the rules, you can either you're gonna have to pay a very hefty fine, or based on the level of the breach, you can go to prison. And yes, the law enforcement within Bali, they do not joke around with that. So please, this is my warning. Just respect the rules and regulations within Bali. Okay? No matter if you're at the airport, no matter if you're outside the airport, be respectable people, are human beings, as always. There's nothing hard about that. But anyways, so going on, me and my partner, we just decided, okay, let's make sure we just get to the immigration border force, where we just obviously show our visas and our passports to just, get the stamp to be on our way out of the airport. The next focus for us was to make sure that we go to an exchange teller, our exchange, our money exchange business, and just get a bit of cash. Now, the good thing about this is that you're not starting your journey, so you want to make sure that you're prepared. and we decided to just, okay, let's just start, get a bit of money first, so that in case there's any emergencies, we have some money there that we can use. But listening to our friends, watching videos on YouTube, a lot of people would say that it's probably better to exchange your money at businesses outside of the airport, because the exchange rate in the airport is much lower than outside of the airport. And funny enough, there actually is a part where we actually went to a money exchange business, and the exchange rate was actually quite high. But I will show you that when we get to that part in the video. Next plan was to make sure that we keep our eyes vigilant on the driver. And obviously the driver that we had, he had my partner's name there on this piece of cardboard paper, I think. No, on paper, right. I was gonna say a piece of cardboard, but I think it was paper. And he had the list, so I was like, okay, cool. Now that part of the plan is done. So now it was time to go and greet him. And our driver, I'm not gonna say his name, but he's such a wonderful person, and he made our trip in Bali an enjoyable one. He was basically a spokesperson for us. He made sure that we were accommodated well. He made sure that we weren't taken advantage of also. We're going to try to make sure we made his life easy, and also reward him as well for the brilliant work he's done. He's such a awesome, my next trip to Bali, he's definitely my driver again, no doubts about it, no cap. So once we made the driver, we went, we had our greetings, and we went to his car where he packed our bags up, and now it was time to go on to this journey through Denpasar onto, you could say, the freeway or the bypass to Ubud, where we went to our hotel, which is called Kawi Resort. And I'm gonna show you guys what that journey really looked like, and it was such an awesome journey. So knowing me, I got into the car, my GoPro is out, yeah, let's capture this moment. And it was quite tough, because for me, when I'm an adventurer, so I think once I see something or a place I like, or I go in someplace new, I ain't about, oh, what's this, what's that. I think the actual environment itself, the scenery of the environment really catches me. So I'm just in adventure mode that one time, which is a good thing and a bad thing, because take my advice, it's a good thing I have my partner, because there were certain important things I probably missed that she heard, and vice versa, so I guess we were just sharing the duties of our adventure. But we were leaving the airport, and I don't know if I remember saying this, but Denpasar is the capital within Bali. And one thing about Denpasar, and you're gonna see on this trip, is the differences between urban areas and rural areas as well. But I think one thing about the environment within the capital that I like is that it seems to be synced with nature. When we're talking about flora and fauna, we're talking about the vegetation within the actual capital of Bali. And I think that it's not just within the capital, but other parts as well. The vegetation, when I'm saying vegetation, I'm talking about the trees and the flowers, and they give the environment a feature that leaves you in awe. It's it makes the environment look so beautiful. And I do know that there are some capitals or areas who try to capitalize on making, let's say, creating a lot of hotels or flats or whatever, just to obviously capitalize on money. But when you have a mix of buildings and obviously the vegetation from the environment, it really looks beautiful. And to top it off, in this video, you're also going to see that there are statues as well placed around a lot of areas within Bali. Bali just looks so tropical, you see a lot of coconut trees, palm trees, lots of just various trees around. And if there's one thing that's gonna really stand out within Bali, again, you're gonna see a lot of temples, statues and temples placed around the whole of Bali, because again, Bali is a very religious place. Let me just pause this for a bit. So when we're talking about the religion within Bali, the religion that Bali mainly follows is Hinduism. If I remember correctly, I was told that 86.7 or 87% of the population within Bali, or maybe it could be within Indonesia, are Hindi. Going on, as you can see, when leaving the airport, there's so many taxis around and buses as well. The reason for that is because Bali, Indonesia is actually a very high tourist destination spot. It's very popular, I must say. I think it's number 7 on the list in the world as most popular places. I mean, I could be wrong, for sure. Our driver is basically talking to us and explaining to us about how Bali is, if it's our first time there, what do we expect to do. And obviously my girlfriend's a planner, so she has so many things that she had planned, and I helped her, of course. I think if it's one thing about a lot of females which we have to respect is that they're planners, and males, we sort of got to do better. That's what everyone keeps saying. But our first stop after our driver left the pay area for the airport, we decided to go and exchange our money. Now, this is important. So that was the first thing we did outside of the airport. And the second thing we also did was I was able to purchase a SIM card. Obviously, most SIM cards don't really work within Indonesia, so we decided to get a SIM card within Bali, and it came in handy. And this is why I love our driver, because our driver was our spokesperson, and he actually got us a SIM card at a pretty good rate with lots of data. So I didn't have to top up for the 10 days that I was in Bali. It actually lasted me to the very end of the trip. We're now on our way trying to get on a bypass to make sure we can get up to the countryside of Ubud. And along this journey, you're going to start seeing not just lots of taxis now, but you're going to start seeing a lot of scooters. I call them the scooter gang. And the reason I call them the scooter gang is because there are so many people that have scooters in Bali. And the reason for that is because when you're looking at how efficient having a scooter versus a taxi, obviously taxis, they're there for businesses, but when you have a scooter, it's actually kind of cost effective, and you can actually get through some. I think you can just get through traffic much easier because it's just a scooter, it's that small. But along the video, you're going to start noticing how many scooters I'm talking about as we start to venture out more, as we're getting closer to our destination. You're seeing so many businesses surrounded by lots of vegetation, and again, it just gives you that tropical feeling. If I remember correctly, my partner and I was like, okay, we start asking questions about fast foods. Not saying that we wanted fast foods to eat, but it's more about, okay, when you're looking at franchises, for instance, how a franchise you can think about is McDonald's or KFC, maybe Domino's Pizza, some to a degree. So we just started asking those questions to see whether or not the fast food business, the chain of businesses are actually high in Bali, and in all honesty, it isn't. Bali actually relies more on their local foods, and I think that's a good thing because they just want to stick to traditional foods, and there's nothing wrong with that. We're gonna start passing. I think we're gonna see a McDonald's. We're probably gonna see a KFC as well, and you're seeing McDonald's, the big game. I must say, it actually was quite a very busy day, within Denpasar. As much as when we got to the airport was quite quiet, which was, because there was I remember the immigration officer was like, you guys are so lucky, today's a quiet day. He was like, really? He's like, yeah. But, going along on a journey, you start seeing so many vehicles, and it was starting to get hectic. And the way that they drive, wow, good drivers, I must say. But anyways, so now we're gonna start seeing our first statue along this journey. And again, like I said, the more that I show you our adventures within Bali, the more you're gonna start seeing so many statues and temples. And again, this is all based on religion. This is all based on the fact of culture as well. And if there's one thing I love about the statues is that the statues actually gave, I guess, a bit more meaning within the environment. And when I say meaning, I'm talking about the actual scenery of the environment, and that made it just, I think it had me and my partner like, oh, like this is so, like this, as much as we know it's a statue and it has its like religious purposes, we do understand that, you know, it really made the environment look so good. Oh, I can't forget about Pizza Hut as well. Yeah, we even saw Pizza Hut. This is where now we start interacting more and more with our driver. You know, I think again he really gave us so much information on Bali, and it was so nice to have him as our driver. If I could give him, I mean, if it's a 5-star rating, I would give him 10 stars. That's how good the man was. He was good. I want to take some time to talk about the cost of living and the standard of living within Bali, you know, just to give people more perspective on what that will look like, especially if it's your first time going. The standard of living, the cost of living, they're pretty low. Foreign investors, and when I say foreign investors, we're talking about businesses, like anything from hotels to food businesses to Airbnbs, you know, no matter what that look like, right? But the cost of living within Bali, you know, some people say you can spend more if you're not careful. Yes, I can say to the degree that can happen, but when you're really looking at the trip being cost effective, I think once you plan properly for what you're going to do, you can actually utilize your budget quite well and probably still have money saved to still go back home and use, or if any emergencies do come up. Now, because the standard of living, you know, and the standard of living does vary, you know, it doesn't mean that as though you treat the people like any and everybody. I think what I like about Bali is that it reminds me of home, I guess, and how I grew up as well, where you may not have much, but you know how to make the most of it. And that is what most of the people in Bali do. Again, very kind people, very respectable people. But if it's one thing that I do know is that throughout what they may be going through, they still decide to stay kind no matter what. But, you know, they don't treat you any different, you know, and that was just my experience. Obviously, we know that English is not their first language, and that's fine. But some people are taking the steps to learn English, and it will take time. But if you just be patient with them, let them express themselves, they do respect that. And that happened to me at a hotel where the guy was telling me, oh, you know, English is not my first language, so I was like, brother, it's all good. Just take your time. You don't have to rush yourself. I understand what you're going through. So don't think as though, you know, I can come down hard on you because you can't speak or I can yell. You just take your time. And he looked at me, he was like, and I was like, but anyways, I think he was actually my main buddy on one of the hotels that I was at, and I think that relationship from the time I was there, it was awesome. Like, he literally was like a next, like, I guess, guide for me as well. And I really appreciated that because, I mean, he didn't really have to do that, but, you know, when you respect someone, there's so much that can come from it. But anyways, you know, going back on topic, respect people, that's all I just saying. Despite people's circumstances, it does not mean you look down on them just because they may not have what you don't have or because they have life hard. Regards to the situation, always show respect. That's just my part there when it comes to, you know, obviously the people within the Balinese people, and, you know, obviously the standard and the cost of living and the standard of living within Bali. So right now we're on the bypass, you know, we're getting closer to our hotel within Ubud, and this is where now we're going to be passing close to the coastal lines where you're going to start. You may see some water here, but if it's one thing that stood out for me, and this is why I wanted to talk about the cost of living and the standard of living, is because, again, people may not have it as good as others, and this is actually a pretty good representation of that pretty soon, where we're going to stop at a street light, but within the video you're going to see that there's a little boy who's walking between the traffic. Now, the reason for him doing that is because he and a little girl, it could be his cousin, his sister, his friends, they were actually performing, I think it was a song or some type of act. You know, he was playing an instrument and she was singing, but it was touching, you know, because again, everyone stopped there and looked around and actually gave them the time to actually do what they were doing. And then they came around after trying to see if they can get some donations and stuff, which, you know, a lot of people gave that to them. And we as people see things like that, it's either two reactions. One, we either think that, okay, these people are desperate, or two, some people think, okay, you know what, they may be trying to perform and, you know, show us what they can do. And it does bring a lot of mixed reactions and mixed feelings at times, which I can understand. But again, it just goes back to us as human beings and how we as people judge people. You know, some people have it hard, and you know those children are doing that, and you know maybe it's gonna help them to have a meal. But then why should we judge them for doing that? If you get me, you know. So again, it's just all about respect. You know, it's just all about admiring a situation and not judging the situation because we don't know. You know, we as people are very ignorant, and the fact that we are ignorant, it makes us, you know, really judgmental at times. And you know, I think for me as a human being, that's not pretty good, especially for kids. As we're venturing out more into the rural areas, as we're approaching our destination, you're going to start seeing some key differences. You're going to start seeing more temples. You're going to start seeing a bit more flora and fauna, and by fauna referring to animals. You're going to start seeing fewer people as well within the community. And when it comes to, I guess, farming, you're going to start seeing rice terraces, because rice is actually a pretty popular food within Bali of Indonesia. In terms of the temples are there as, I guess, if I remember correctly from what I've been told, it is there as an act of respect where spirits can rest in peace, you know, where people can go and respect those who were once part of this world, you know, and go and just pay their respects to them. So driving through these rural areas, you see the differences when we were in Denpasar, and you can start seeing differences for sure. You know, I guess that's urban versus rural areas. And again, even though we're in the rural area, those different features that I discussed previously, or mentioned I should say, they actually do have the environment still looking pretty good. Now, of course, you can tell the differences. Right? As we're getting closer to our destination, this is where now we start seeing more rice terraces, you know. And again, like I said, rice is a very popular food that is planted within Bali. You know, people use rice, you know. So many rice fields, you know, a lot of people just, and I guess by all means people do a couple things. They either sell the rice or they keep the rice where they can provide for the family to eat as well. On our journey, we are approaching our hotel. The hotel that we are staying at is called the Kawi Resort Hotel, otherwise known as the Kawi Resort Paramana Experience. Now this hotel is located on a hill, and I shall show you guys those scenes on the next video. But other than that, thank you for watching. I do appreciate the time you spent watching this video. Like it, you know, comment below in case I made any mistakes, as I'm ignorant like most people. I just want to learn and respect, you know, obviously certain values or certain cultural aspects. And yes, just subscribe to the channel if you haven't, and turn the notification bell on to get alerts for when I do post the next video. But other than that, thank you.